I'm in your walls, I'm in your walls.
Stop. Schizophrenia. A serious mental disorder in which people interpret reality abnormally. Hallucinations, delusions, extremely disordered thinking and behavior that plagues millions each year. And inevitably, some of these troubled individuals make their way onto the internet. The unrestricted internet full of trolls and assholes who will gladly ruin someone for a quick laugh. And the people who hallucinate tend to be fairly easy targets. We see this trolling happen in many places to many people, but I'm going to focus on one incident in particular today. SnappedFingers and their journey to the interdimensional portal in the Paris Catacombs. The account SnappedFingers was created on October 27th, 2019. The first post on this account was a viral video of a man on crack crawling through the sewers, which she posted to the subreddit r/y with the caption, "Why?" No one else responded, so I guess I could take a shot at it. It's 'cause he's on crack. Boring first post, but she advances quickly onto r/ask. Here, she submits a post with the title, "If I bite off my own finger, could it be reattached or attached somewhere else?" And the body reading, "Title, because I need to." Self-harm is a common result of schizophrenia, often resulting from catatonic excitement or sometimes command hallucinations, where one might hear a voice telling them to do so, which would explain the lack of reasoning. Whether this was a result of schizophrenia or not, this shows us that SnappedFingers was a troubled individual. After this post, we get a bit more direct proof of SnappedFingers' schizophrenia from a post titled "Seeing and Hearing Things That Aren't There" on r/advice. She writes, "Lately I've been seeing and hearing things that aren't there even more than normal. Most of the time it's small things like seeing spiders on me in my peripheral vision only to look at them and they disappear. Other times when I'm in bed, this thing about the thickness of a big fist pops up like a big snake on the side of my bed and looks at me, only to dart back down out of sight. Whenever I investigate, nothing's there. Rarely there's full-body visual hallucinations. The last one was from a couple of years ago. When I was taking out the garbage, the silhouette of a child crunched down on all fours charged me, only to disappear when I looked at it. And before that, there was a large, fleshy, naked, featureless figure slowly walking on all fours in the room down the hall, approximately the average size of a man. All throughout my childhood, I had this thing that would go ha in my ear. This one used to terrify me, but it's gotten beyond old. Not reacting to it seems to have gotten rid of that one. Rarely when I try to sleep, a dog that doesn't exist will bark directly in my ear every time I close my eyes. My neighbors don't own a dog and the sound is way too close for it to be. The trick to getting rid of it is closing one eye at a time to mess it up, and it won't come back for a long time after. Most of my life I've been seeing and hearing things, but lately the small ones have been happening more often. Mainly the spiders and the things that pop up on the side of my bed in small moving shadows. Relatives are super into the supernatural, which I do not believe in whatsoever. So they are aware I have seen and heard things, it was just summed up as ghostly mumbo-jumbo. I do not inform them about what I see and hear anymore because it's pointless and makes it worse. Burning shit in my house doesn't solve the problem, talking about them gives them strength, and that strength builds up to bad nights where I'm swarmed. I don't want doctors involved, they treated me as a science experiment before for other things, medical, and I don't want that again. I do not want medication, I want to remain myself. I've never used illicit drugs, alcohol, smoking, or anything in my life and never intend to. I'm more so curious if anyone has dealt with this before and what they did to get rid of it. Have I asked friends for advice? No, they fucked me over and kicked me to the curb when they stood to gain from it. Never had any real ones, so no. Best company is yourself. Yourself is underrated company. Regardless, I'm curious as to what advice you guys might have. I never thought about asking anyone on the internet till tonight when I was on /B and came across a mental health thread. Doubt anyone will read this, so I don't know. Thanks to you, the one lurker who reads this. While the hallucinations described in this text are important, what's equally telling is her opinion on doctors. She explicitly refuses to get doctors involved, saying they've treated her as a science experiment. She also refuses medication. She talks about how she now is isolated, without friends, and this is supposedly the way she wants her life to be. SnappedFingers was alone and vulnerable. There are a few more strange posts, such as, in 2008 I stuck a power drill into my arm, following the theme of schizophrenic self-harm. But here's where we get into the interdimensional fascination. If you see interdimensional beings, how do you deal with them? Posted to r/ask Reddit. Few replied, mainly as jokes, but Snapped took them seriously. Fuck them, Mega MC Taka replied. What about the bigger ones? Let them fuck me. Holy, I didn't know that's what they were trying to do. I've had them wrap a tendril around a limb or two before, but damn, that's crazy. Interdimensional sex. Jesus, no wonder holy water works a bit on them. And one comment from a deleted user. Check your DMs, Chief. Discord. File this away. The interdimensional beings continued to plague Snapped. She posted again asking for answers from anyone, but no one was able to give them to her. This post doesn't give us much more insight into her situation except for one key detail. She mentions that she had thought that these hallucinations were hallucinations, but after her meds had failed to stop them, she was now beginning to seek out different answers. She had ruled out that they were hallucinations, even though up to 40% of patients diagnosed with schizophrenia will show inadequate response to treatment. She was losing trust in doctors and medication, sending her further away from support. Now is when we see what these Discord users are doing to this woman. Snapped posted, how much of you do interdimensional beings require to leave you alone for good? Blood ritual. She writes, long story short, I see things that don't appear to actually be there, but are. Recently, I've been discussing this matter with some experts on Discord, and apparently if I give a significant part of myself to these interdimensional beings, they will finally leave me alone. I've been informed of fingers enough to banish them, but I'm not convinced. I don't even know if they will take it completely or just want it removed as a peace offering. Basically, I don't know if it can be recovered. On top of that, I'm a bit skeptical on whether or not the whole ritual will work. In general, blood magic rituals are something I've never heard of until somewhat recently. Knowing now that this isn't hallucinations like I once thought, but interdimensional beings, I seek others who might have experience with banishing them, and hopefully there's a solution that's less extreme. I don't need to explain why this is worrying. Snapped was moving away from medication and doctors and was pushed right into the arms of Discord experts, whatever that means. Experts who encouraged her to cut off her own finger. This was when we first began to see their influence on her. And now is when the real center of the tale of Snapped begins. A post submitted to r/ask titled, Is there really a hell portal down in the Paris Catacombs? She says, I believe that if this portal is actually there, that it might be responsible for the release of swarms of interdimensional beings that spread out worldwide. I've been looking for pictures of this portal, but keep getting images of the rooms flooded with bones instead. I need to find the portal's exact location so I can get an off-the-rails guide down there to shut down this portal. I have put together enough money for a flight and to get equipment that can be flown over there. I haven't quite figured out how to shut down the portal yet, but I'm still working on that matter with a duo that has shut down hell portals before. I've been working on this plan for a while now, and now that I'm so close, there's now being an airport shut down because these interdimensional beings released a biblical plague to stop this from happening. I need to find this portal. This post was released to laughter from Redditors. They joked around about it, but she was dead serious. When told she should get back on her meds, she said they weren't making much of a difference, meaning that these beings are actually there. I know how to stop them, I just need these final pieces of information to carry it out. The illness was a distraction to prevent me from making the journey to shut down the portal. Now that their distraction has been foiled, they released a global pandemic to shut down the airports. I don't have much time before the government shuts down the airports for real. She was insulted. This is a joke, right? If it isn't, holy shit, you're stupid as fuck. Stop trying to be a special snowflake and sit down, there's an epidemic going on. But she responded back calmly. Once the hell portal is sealed, it will cut the flow of interdimensional beings. Then it's only a matter of proving they exist and enlisting a lot of people to help mop them up on a global scale. The medication, on the other hand, didn't make much of a difference in the first place. I never smoked, drank alcohol, or did drugs in my life, so remaining alert and aware rather than taking the medication stuff is a better trade-off than seeing slightly less weird things crawling around. Being on medication would also imply I'm a nutter, which I'm not. I know a few guys on Discord. I don't intend on exposing them to the breach. They're currently helping with the research aspect of the operation. Originally, I was planning on getting an off-the-rails guide through the catacombs, but in hindsight, it's not right to literally drag someone to hell and back with me, so I intend to go on my own. So Snapped has been convinced that there is an interdimensional portal to hell in the Paris Catacombs and that she must seal it herself to save the world. Let's look at all these comments, specifically the last one. I know a few guys on Discord I don't intend on exposing them to the breach. They're currently helping with the research aspect of the operation, meaning that these Discordians are hiding behind the screens, persuading this woman to go out by herself in the catacombs of Paris to seal a non-existent interdimensional portal. How much lower can you stoop? Her inquiries continue. Paris Catacombs portal. Where does it go? For context, I've been planning on flying out to Paris and conducting a solo expedition to shut down the hell portal in the Paris Catacombs. I've heard it was a portal that led to an interdimensional hellscape, and that every second it is pumping out untold amounts of interdimensional abominations that have been infesting our planet for eons. But now I've got conflicting information that the portal, if it exists, is purposed to bring some kind of divine retribution to sinners, after all the souls from our world make a mass exodus through said portal. I don't know which conclusion is accurate, and frankly my information could have been manipulated via interdimensional beings corrupting these vendors of information and possessing them to deliver inaccurate or misleading intel. Advice for traversing unofficial routes in the Paris Catacombs. I am in need of advice for traversing the Paris Catacombs unofficial/alternative routes. Below is for context. In a few short days I will be traveling via an alternative means to Paris to bypass the lockdown. I'm making this trip to shut down the hell portal deep within the Paris Catacombs. This portal is responsible for enabling an interdimensional hell incursion into our world. The twisted beings coming from this portal cannot be seen by all, but I can see them and they aren't quite nice. They reach under your door and charge at you, or if they're small, crawl all over you. These beings do not belong in our plane of existence. Yet someone erected this portal and we built on top of it. I know how it might sound, but this is real. These beings truly exist. If I were in your shoes, I'd probably be thinking this poster is a nut or two. My current equipment for my journey as of now is 1 big metal industrial flashlight, 20 turpentine holy ritual flasks to banish small entities, 1 sleeping bag, 1 Bible to channel God's divine energy to assist with disarming the portal, 2 cans of beans, 1 buck knife to open the cans, and 1 chalk stick to mark my path. I'm considering a small chainsaw for limb sacrifice if I'm cornered by a large interdimensional being and need a quick out, but I don't have any means of halting the bleeding. I haven't found a way around this yet, but with my departure growing near, I am out of time to figure it out as my volunteer will be arriving any day now to take me to Paris. Advice on the traversal or even map of the layers of the catacombs would be tremendously appreciated. How do you cure possession by interdimensional beings? I'm in a Discord group that has been helping me track down the source of an interdimensional incursion by interdimensional beings. These people help me unearth the truth of where these interdimensional beings are coming from and even help me get in contact with people to get me to the Paris Catacombs and bypass the travel lockdown. Today, I believe they became possessed, and even though I have all the information I need, I know it isn't right to leave them possessed. I know they're possessed because when I told them I hired the men that could get me to the catacombs and that I'd be leaving with them to shut down the Paris Catacombs hell portal, they suddenly became opposed to the entire operation even though we all planned it together. I'm still in contact with the only member of the Discord who wasn't possessed, but even he is at a loss for how I can help the others. If I fail on shutting down the hell portal, they will be forever possessed, and leaving that risk to chance just isn't right. Please help me unpossess them. Going to the catacombs to shut down the hell portal. In a few days, I will be traveling to Paris via an alternative means of travel to bypass the lockdown. For those who might be unaware, there's a portal deep within the catacombs that is the source of an interdimensional incursion by beings not from our plane of existence. This portal must be shut down to cease this eon-long invasion. The portal predates our civilization, but these entities are absolutely not friendly for the most part. I am posting this here because I would like any and all advice about traversing the catacombs unofficial/alternative routes. My current packing gear is the following: 1 big metal security guard's flashlight, 1 sleeping bag, 1 Bible to channel God, 20 turpentine flasks to banish small-size interdimensional beings, 2 bottles of water, 2 cans of beans, 1 piece of chalk to mark where I'm come from, and a buck knife to open said cans. I am aware the catacombs are deep and maze-like, however the portal absolutely needs to shut down. It predates our civilization, yet no one has shut it down, so I will. These invaders cannot be allowed to prey on us any longer. As for why I won't be taking a guide, it's because 1, they don't go on side roads, 2, they could end up being possessed and lead me astray or even turn me in. I am not willing to risk my mission being compromised, so I will be doing this on my own. In a few short days I will begin my journey, but I would very much like any and all advice you all may have. There were some who tried to convince her not to embark altogether. There are no portals, don't go into the catacombs yourself, it's dangerous. I will have chalk to mark my way back. The main threat is large interdimensional beings that will be down in those tunnels. Not knowing the average terrain, there likely isn't a place to hide and limited space to run, but I have no alternatives as of now. And there were some who convinced her to embark in an even more dangerous fashion. And when you run, you mark the way you're escaping from monsters. 1, very difficult, and 2, the monsters can follow your mark. Oh my god, I never thought about that. Oh my god, I would have been completely screwed, no chalk. I can't believe how close this was. I never even considered that. I literally leave tomorrow. I would have been bloody screwed if I didn't see this. Thank you. You probably just saved my life. Much later, after embarking on the trip, Snapped replied to a commenter asking how the trip was going. You can see how our typing has changed in this one, and how our state is declining. Hey, the trip is going mostly okay, but there were some problems at the beginning and during. At the beginning, I got picked up and dropped off some big building and had to wait a few days. In this building in a wall room, it had a pretty sweet TV and a stack of movies I could watch. There's a couple who went through my things and they forbid me from keeping my pickaxe and shovel, but they didn't go through my things that much, so I still have my buck knife for opening cans only. Then, when the gentleman that would be escorting me finally came, I brought up that I needed my pickaxe and shovel to shut down the hell portal, but they made me leave my shovel and pickaxe behind because they were worried I'd use them as weapons too. It's been kind of a long trip, but it's mostly just been waiting and watching movies, waiting for the gentleman mentioned previously, or later, waiting for a signal from someone else to give us the go-ahead to move, which was almost always at night, which sucked. So I haven't slept very well, either. Plus, it's very difficult to hide in a car when interdimensional beings start swarming the car. They made me tell them why I kept hiding, so now all the interdimensional beings are really mad and pressing themselves against the windows sometimes. And small ones are crawling inside the cabin. For context, whenever I tell people in real life about the interdimensional beings, they get really mad and start swarming later on. They already had an idea beforehand of what my mission is, so they were kind and understanding of the situation. We just got across the water today, and I'm in Calais right now, where I will be continuing my journey on my own. Although I didn't think to bring money, so I have to go on foot to Paris. I kinda think this might have been a mistake. While the couple I mentioned before gave me some Doritos for my journey, I realized I didn't account for food for the road. Actually, I have nowhere to go for shelter. I didn't account for money for a hotel or a rental car. I'm beginning to realize I'm screwed. Like, just now I don't know what to do. I know I can ask direction, but I have no refuge from these interdimensional freaks. They're still angry, I know it, and when they get the chance they start swarming again. Jesus, I think this was a mistake. I don't even have enough money to go back, and if I get caught, I'm fucked. I don't have a way to call those guys back to even try asking. I don't know what to do. I don't know. If I proceed, I'm going to be overtaken. If I get caught traveling illegally, I'm screwed either way. I need to clear my head. I will post later. And their final post about the catacombs. Traveled by questionable means and didn't account for funds to proceed further. I recently hired a group of gentlemen to take me to Paris so I could shut down the hell portal in the catacombs, and I arrived in Calais, but I need to continue on my own to Paris. My problem is I didn't account for funds for really anything. I didn't consider this part of the journey. I have nowhere to go, and I'm currently posting from inside a dumpster to hide from interdimensional beings. Since there's no light, because how late it is, they're swarming outside my bin. I cannot drag this dumpster with me on my journey as it's obviously too heavy. What should I do for shelter? Find more dumpsters. Snapped stopped posting about the catacombs entirely after this, and any schizophrenic encounters were also not posted about from this point on. This is essentially all we know. She has confirmed that she is indeed alive and alright, and just wants people to write it all off as nonsense. Thank you for watching. I hope it was an enjoyable video. If you want to subscribe, do it. If you want to like, do it. If you want to comment, do it. Just, have a good night.